My name is Enid Trail and I've been associated with North Caloundra, which is now known as Dicky Beach Surf Lifesaving Club, since about 1970. Initially, Nippers was formed in 1967, but our club had too fewer senior members to feel confident in supervising a children's program.
I was elected as the very first president in 1980 of the Junior Surf Club, and from there on we had to start from scratch. We had nothing. We didn't have a nickel, no money in the bank, nothing, and we had to start the club, which we did. My wife Maria and my sister Carol sat for nights and nights and nights and hand sewed all the little nipper caps we needed. They made them up. We then had to get on to someone to screen print the shirts, and we got the emblem, and we did, which is on the shield here. We've got the shield here from the original shield, and the emblem's on there of the North Caloundra Nippers, and the girls did it and they worked their butts off.
I first got involved with Nippers mainly because I'd had a long history of lifesaving in my family, and they called a meeting for expressions of interest on the 15th of November. And 15 parents turned up, and a lot of those parents were members of the surf club. The following day, they had another meeting, and at that meeting, 28 nippers enrolled. By the end of that season, there were 64 registered nippers.
North Caloundra Nippers in the early years was very family orientated. It was a small club in comparison to the other clubs like Maroochydore and Alex on the coast. The parents were all friends and very nurturing, and they looked after each other's kids and helped coach each other's kids.
Oh, the early years of Nippers were great years. Everyone worked together for the benefit of their children. Because many of the parents were already active members of North Caloundra, they already had that sense of camaraderie that Surf Lifesaving offers. They'd slept in the dormitories, they'd done their patrols and served their community. So they instilled in the children that sense of pride and self-esteem and the purpose of what Nippers was all about. It was tough. I can remember an occasion when we didn't have enough money to start the season, and we borrowed $70. That was quite a lot of money back in 1980 from the local butcher, Tony Kay from Dicky Beach Meats, to actually make caps so that we could start the children off at the beginning of the following season. We had terrific sponsors later on who were wonderful in their support, but those early years we were self-funding, so we got no support from the senior club.
We didn't have very many nippers in comparison to other clubs, but even with that, we were limited with things like equipment like boards. Everything else seemed to be okay, but if you didn't have your own board, and a couple of us were lucky enough to win boards, club champions won boards in those days, a Hayden board, and I was lucky to win the first one of those. But once you won that, you didn't receive it again. So we had some decent fiberglass boards, but if you didn't get in first, you ended up with the hollow boards, and they were pretty heavy, or a foam board, and that didn't make it very fair. So we were very limited board-wise.
My name's Tim Archibald. I've been a member of Dicky Beach Surf Lifesaving Club since I was about 7 years old. Back in 1989, I officially joined. Yeah, it's been a fantastic journey over many years, but now I'm 39, so I've technically been a member for about 32 years. In terms of the things that you learn whilst you're going through the nipper stage into the active patrolling, I feel like you start with all the basics, learning not only just how to navigate through the surf on both boards, but also being able to learn as you get towards your SRCs when you're 12 in the under 12 sort of section, getting that experience of actually rescuing or pulling people in. And I felt that really helped for the time period when we got to our bronze and then into your senior and more active patrolling. And even now, you know, we still do that training on patrol, and every year we do our proficiency to make sure we can still do it.
Nippers starts from officially 7 to 13, but some clubs, including ours, take what they call green caps, who are under 7s, and they've got generally older siblings who are in Nippers. So they come along as part of the family, and that's a huge aspect of Nippers at Dicky Beach, the family aspect where everyone can be involved. And they go through till 13. At 13 they do their surf rescue qualification certificate, which is a precursor to the bronze medallion, which they can then gain as a 15-year-old and become active patrolling members on Dicky Beach.
Yeah, Nipper days were traditionally every Sunday, and we used to have a lot of kids come down on Sundays, but then we had an idea to run Nipper Sundays on a Saturday afternoon and call it Twilight Nippers. So this is the first time that it was ever done in this club anyway, but it was proved to be a massive success. Yeah, so a typical Sunday training session for Nippers is all based around fun and education, and the ability for the Nippers to progress and learn from skills from age 5 through to age 14. So normally we would start around 8 o'clock in the morning with a muster, get everyone up on the hill, and then we'd divide into our age groups and then go off and do different activities in a round robin format according to their age.
The goals that I feel Nippers prepare for are the team spirit, for one thing. There's competition in the senior ranks for everybody, whether it's academic or physical. So in the teams events, you've got patrol championships, patrol champion lifesaver, first aid competition, R&R, which is rescue and resuscitation, boat racing, there's IRB racing, there's something for everybody really. And Nippers is a great grounding for those sorts of activities when they progress through to the seniors. So the early years of Nippers provided lots of excitement for North Caloundra Dicky Beach. Only 7 years after the club was formed, we became Sunshine Coast Branch champions, a position we held for 7 consecutive years. So for a young fledgling club, that was huge, and it proved that we were doing something right as far as teaching the children and encouraging that team spirit. It wasn't individual efforts that got us there, it was team efforts, all in all. So Kerry Thomas was our first state title winner, and she went on to become a world champion and is still involved in lifesaving today.
Hi, my name's Kerry Thomas. I joined Dicky Beach early 80s, I'm thinking maybe 1980, around that time. It happened to be the first year of Nippers for Dicky Beach Surf Lifesaving, something an inaugural year that they were having Nippers. Nippers was evolving as a sport as far as lifesaving goes. I didn't know that at the time, but I was only 7 years of age. We happened to live down the road from Dicky Beach. We just happened to be down on our usual Sunday morning swim. We saw all these Nipper activities happening. My dad walked over, found out a bit of information, and then asked my brother, who was a little bit older than I, if we'd like to join in. And pretty much we did, because we loved being part of the ocean and loved catching waves. And that was my introduction to Nippers Lifesaving, Dicky Beach Surf Lifesaving Club. Yeah, so Nippers was probably a good introduction to being safe around the water, which is why my parents got us involved. We were just a family that came up from Brisbane, sort of a little suburb of Redcliffe. My dad was into surfing in his day, and we just all happened to like the ocean. But Nippers was a really good grounding in just meeting people, I guess, like-minded people that enjoyed the surf, and just taught you a lot of skills about the ocean and teamwork. And I think that's what we all sort of fell in love with. Dicky Beach, that I remember when I first joined, there was just this beautiful parent body that just got involved. It became a very well organised show every Sunday morning with cans being set, activities all organised. They had year level flags already up so that people knew where to send their kids. They had good parent helpers. Yeah, it was just a really, really fun time that I remember. So from 7s to 9s, there was really just a wade race, a swim race, flags and sprints, and they used to have the beach relay. Then when you entered under 10s to under 14s at the time, they had those similar events. You just brought the iron person in, which was just a swim and a board. So at your local carnivals, there was designated areas for women, like girls section and a boys section. But if you were going for a state team in that area, there was no actual area for girls. So if you wanted to make a team, the girls had to race against the boys. So I sort of wasn't really keen on doing it, but my brother Brian was a few years older than me. He had made the state team the year before that I was eligible to try, and it just happened to be at a beach locally at Kings Beach, so I was able to go and watch that event. And there was one girl that had made it that year. So the next year when it was my turn I thought, oh, that'll be okay. There will be some girls that might make the team, so I won't be by myself. But when I was 10 and I was lining up, I went into the tent and it was just all for the boys. And I thought, oh no, this isn't for me. I can't do this. This is just a bit, I felt too uncomfortable. I walked out of the tent, burst into tears, and I ran into a beautiful lady called Mela Payette, who was in Dicky Beach Surf Lifesaving Club at the time. Her kids were involved, and she said, "What's wrong, Kerry?" And I said, "Oh, I don't think I can do this." And she said, "Oh, of course you can." She gave me a big hug and said, "Yes, you can. You go out there and show them what you can do." So, yeah, we did those qualifying races. Long story short, that was when I made my first state team, so as a 10-year-old. My brother unfortunately missed out that year, so there was a team of 40 competitors. So they used to have 4 water competitors and 4 beach competitors in each of those 4 age groups. So there was about 40 competitors, and I was the only girl. So that again was a little bit of a daunting process for me, because the interstate series that year was in Western Australia. So they had to scrummage and find a chaperone for me. And we used to have a week in camp, and then we'd do the interstate series in different places. So that was, yeah, if I remember Nippers, it was quite competitive right from the word go, whereas opposed to now, they kind of nurse the kids a bit more. It's more just development in the sport. So I started Nippers when I was 7. I had quite a lot of success through the Nipper program. I made 4 state teams. I won a lot of state medals, you know, gold, silver, bronze. I think in team races we were very successful by the end of my Nipper career. I guess the early part of my senior career was a little more groundbreaking in the fact that it sort of shifted a little. Yes, I was still winning state titles and placing at national titles, but I didn't have that grounding in under 15s, under 17s, under 19s. So we didn't have the events that ended my career. So where I finished up, where I won the last ever Ironwoman as a swim board competitor, and then won the first ever Ironwoman with the ski leg in. So 1998 was the last Ironwoman with just the swim board, and 1999 was the first Australian Ironwoman title with the ski leg in. So my journey in between, and I would have been about 24 then, so my journey between 14 really and 24 was like a journey of helping to change the sport, develop the sport for women in the sport, alongside watching the sport flourish for women. As far as team events, we had board relays by the end, we had ski relays, we had taplons, surf teams, we had Kellogg's Nutrigrain series. There was a spot for women between the ages of 15 and 18. There wasn't a series for women at all. So if a woman wanted to be part of that series and explore that, being an athlete, as far as that goes, they had to race against the boys. I never dabbled in that. By the time I was 18, they were dabbling into having a women's series. So I was sort of teetering on that time whether I pursue it or I don't, because I was hitting that age. But I always felt like I had a lot more in me. I felt like I could achieve more, and I think that's just what drove me. I wanted to explore how good I could have been, and I did. In the end, I made 6 Australian teams. I think I made 10 state teams all up. I was part of the Nitch-Grain series for 4 or 5 years. I was the Nitch-Grain Competitor of the Year for one of the seasons, and I became the World Ironwoman title winner for the first year in 1998, and 1998-99 a dual Australian Ironwoman champion. So from that 14 and 24, that 10 years was a very challenging time, in the fact that you were battling on one side, trying to let the women's side flourish in the sport, but also wanting to explore how good I could be.
So the formation of Nippers 40 years ago was to ensure that there was a follow-through of members. It was a recruiting tool more than anything, and it certainly worked. We've got members who joined as nippers. Taryn Good was a 7-year-old nipper. She went right through the ranks to become our club's first ever female club captain. Terry Hooper was a nipper parent. She did her bronze, did patrols, then became a club captain for 3 years before becoming the first ever female club president. Elsie Shrapnel came through the nipper ranks and was just this week at the 2022 Australian Championships named Champion Lifesaver. That's a huge undertaking. It encompasses all the life-saving skills and attributes that they've learnt right throughout their life-saving careers.
Hi, my name's Robin and this is Will, and this is our family, the Shrapnel children. We're very lucky that we joined this club about 3.5 years ago. So I'll introduce everyone. So this is Jojo. Jojo's in under 7s. This is Eddie. Eddie's in under 9s. And here's Rosie over here. Rosie's in under 10s. And Henry's in under 12s. And Ava's in under 14s. And Elsie is in under 17s. And then Will and myself.
So we got involved 3 years ago as a family and started off with the kids coming through nippers, and we really enjoyed that. But then really wanted to become more involved, and Robin and I went and did our bronze medallion so we could do water safety and patrols. So now really each nippers weekend is an event for the whole family, so we can all get involved. We can be out there in the water with the kids, watch them grow on and develop as lifesavers, and as well as kids growing up in and around the coast and the surf. It's a great activity.
What I like about Surf Lifesaving is that it offers a great range of activities that you can be involved in, such as competing and training, while also offering a great social side and getting to spend a lot of time with your friends. I started nippers fairly late on in under 14s, but it was almost a great time to start because everyone else was going through that transition phase when you go into senior nippers, where you go from the little nipper boards up to the males. And it was a great development time because everyone was kind of learning what they needed to do in terms of surf skills and learning how to use the big boards. And it's been a great lead up the last couple of years leading up to this Australian titles, where I have got to build on my skill base, and I achieved gold medals in Patrol Comp and Champion Lifesaver at the Australian titles this year.
Yeah, so when a young family puts their kids in at the age of 5, they can probably expect a few years or a few summer seasons of play-based activities, just so the kids really enjoy themselves, enjoy coming to the beach. Then we start to get their parents involved as well. And then as they progress through to under 9s, for example, things get a little bit more serious, where they're asked to swim out further into the ocean, take their boards out into the ocean, this sort of business. And it just progresses on a skill level through to under 14s, where they complete their surf rescue certificate and become lifesavers.
I do feel that today they still incorporate a lot of the fun aspects that we did enjoy, and you definitely, when you see the nippers on a Sunday morning when I'm on patrol and we're watching them, they're all having fun, they're all enjoying themselves, whilst at the same time as getting that experience and that knowledge around navigating the surf and what's out there. And I don't think that's changed significantly since when I was a nipper, but certainly the people that are helping to show that or train it definitely have a lot more experience themselves, and that knowledge that they can teach and they can, show us and show the nippers how to do it. My brother's a club captain of a Victorian club, and he always tries to utilise what Dicky Beach has done and what they used to do and what they do today with their nippers compared to what he does. But parental involvement, even if they don't have the certificate, certainly does make a big difference to the kids getting out there and enjoying themselves, because they've got that encouragement from the parents to go, hey, I want my son or my daughter to learn and to see what's out there and make sure that they're going to be safe in the surf later on in life as well. I've got two children, a young boy and a slightly older girl who is turning 10, going on 21, of course, as girls seem to be. But they're really keen to start nippers this year, which I think is a great year to sort of get started, where they'll be doing their surf skills and building that confidence, the same as what I felt I did when I was younger.
The nipper program, I think, is just a fantastic program for any child to be part of. One, just to be part of a club is fantastic. One, it teaches you life-saving skills, as in how to help someone if they're in trouble. I think the nipper program is a beautiful way to introduce your kids to the water safety messages, how they can just enjoy the ocean. Even if they're not competitive, you can take them to the beach when they're old enough, and they can go and enjoy themselves, be safe in the water. And I think nippers teaches every kid that gets involved in surf lifesaving. And if you live anywhere near the beach, I'm a massive advocate for just getting your kid in a nipper program.
Nippers these days, I think, is a great benefit to the young kids, just to see even the parent involvement and how much it goes into setting something up, because they can see how many kids are on the beach and they can see how many parents are involved, and it teaches them patience because they have to wait for one event to the next. But besides that, we live on the beach, and it's the utmost importance that they learn to read the surf and they know how to swim, and also sun safety. So I think nippers is really important, and then leading on to those people that end up making careers out of it and becoming lifeguards. It's so important for someone to be down on that beach. In those days, our fathers were the ones, running out and getting someone from the passage down at King's when they were down there rowing and doing rowing training, or we were training and we'd be out there trying to drag someone in that didn't know what they were doing. So this gives them a really good insight to living on the beach and how to cope with the conditions in the surf and sun safety.
Would we recommend to other families to join the Dicky Beach Surf Club? Absolutely. It has been a life changer for us. It's an amazing all-round inclusive activity, and there's things for every age group. So from all ages of nippers all the way through to adults, and thinking about 40 years of nippers, that people that were nippers 40 years ago would now still be part of the club.
I would recommend that every parent tries to encourage and support and put their kids into nippers, regardless of whether they're necessarily all that close to the beach. But even when they aren't, if they can get there or they're within a reasonable distance, just to simply teach them to survive, to make sure that when they hit the beach, no matter what age they are, they can hit the beach at any time of the day and go and recognise that rip, I can see that sweep there, and make sure that they can swim, and not just themselves, but even if they see other people in danger, that they can also try and assist or make sure that they give them the right information to say, hey, don't swim there.
So the future of nippers at Dicky Beach Surf Lifesaving Club is assured. They've got a great team of parents who are providing the education that these nippers need, and these nippers will grow through to the senior club, boosting membership and learning along the way to be contributing members to society.
Dicky Beach!